Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to our webinar topic Building Strong Relationships Using a Whole Brain Thinking Approach. I'm Sugandhi, and I will be guiding you through today's session. We are excited once again to have you all join us back for this interactive session and share insights. Before we start, few instructions for all of us to follow during the session. Participants are requested to mute their mics during the session. Kindly keep your videos on if possible. Use the chat box to type your questions and responses during the session. For those who are unable to join the Zoom, we have live stream of the session to watch on YouTube. Please click on the link given in the invite. Mental health is a vital part of our overall health, and it's crucial to prioritize it in our daily life. Asha Kiran Special Needs School initiates with an objective to conduct a series of webinars on every month to raise mental health awareness support through whole brain thinking approach. Our goal is to create a safe and supportive space for discussion, learning, and growth. By end of this webinar session, we will be able to learn how to grow stronger relationships by understanding the different thinking styles and strengths of individuals to create a more harmonious and effective connection. On that note, it's a great honor and privilege once again for me to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Ms. Madhavi Murthy, a teacher and a whole brain thinking counselor. She has taught in different schools in Mumbai, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai for a total of 14 years. She's also worked with children having learning disabilities in GEMS, Modern High School. She has received NBI whole brain thinking training in Carway, London, and she's currently focusing on student-teacher parent counseling using the whole brain thinking developed by Professor Kobus Nathling. I now hand over to Ms. Madhavi Murthy to lead us with her insightful session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sugandhi, and a warm welcome to everyone who has logged in today. Some of you may have attended the first webinar we had hosted, but however, where I had introduced whole brain thinking. But just for those who are joining in now, new, we would like to share it again. I'll do a quick recap of what exactly we mean by whole brain thinking. It is believed that our brain functions in different quadrants. Different skills, emotions, thoughts come from different quadrants of our brain. So we'll share the first slide with you. This one, yes. So if you consider this circle or this oval circle as our whole brain, you will see the left side of our brain is L1, L2, and the right side of our brain is R1, R2. The top two, L1 and R1, which we say the frontal, is our thinking brain. And the L2 and R2, the back, is our doing brain. Our skills, our motor movements, everything comes from L2, R2. Our thoughts, planning, ideas all come from L1, R1. Now, if you can read what's written in the quadrants, L1 is our rational self, which analyzes, quantifies, is logical, is critical, it's realistic, likes numbers, knows about money, and knows how things work. Our L2 brain takes preventive action, safekeeping. It's a safekeeping. It keeps us safe. It establishes procedures, gets things done. It's a doing part of our brain. It's reliable, organizes, neat, timely, and plans. On the right side, if you see, the R1 is our experimental self. It infers the information that you read or you hear What's the inference you get from it? Imagines, speculates, takes risks, is impetuous, spontaneous, breaks rules, likes surprises, is curious and playful. Our R2 brain, we refer to it as a feeling brain, our feeling side of ourself, sensitive to others, likes to teach, touches a lot, is supportive, is expressive, is emotional. That's our emotional side of the brain. Talks a lot and feels all our feelings. Now, all of us have all these four quadrants, but once you have read this and you hear me out, you'll realize that we tend to use one or two quadrants more over the others. In that case, we would say a person is left brain dominant or right brain dominant. Okay. And then once you go deeper into it, you will begin to see, even if a person is left brain, which part is more dominant? Is it the L1 or the L2? If a person is right brain dominant, but which one? R1 or R2? So you begin to see these within yourself. That is the first step. The next step is to be able to study others when they're talking to you, when they're interacting with you, and you are quietly assessing them and analyzing them. Okay, where is this coming from? Which quadrant? This person seems to be R2 dominant, or is this person very L1 dominant? The minute you understand or get a sense of it, you try to, we say the word rapport. A rapport is nothing but you mimic somebody's words, thoughts, actions unconsciously, and you create a rapport. If you kind of understand which quadrant is dominating the person in front of you, you will try to move into that same quadrant and talk to them from there, and communication will flow beautifully. Your old friends whom you get along with so well is probably because you shared the same dominant quadrant. People you don't like and don't want to engage with probably have a diagonally opposite quadrant to you. Remember, all of us have all four. We tend to use one more. So this is where the whole brain thinking comes from. This is an introduction in brief. Just to make it interesting for you, I'd like to share with you some case studies on how we use it, put it to practical use to help people for counseling or for, understanding each other, relationships. So I'll request Sugandhi to show you the next two slides. We'll start with the first one of the case study. That slide, you will see, I just said mother-daughter. Yeah. Mother and daughter were facing a lot of conflict. Now, generally, we don't do a whole brain profiling for children below 16 because their thoughts and their preferences and likes and dislikes haven't formed fully, keeps changing. So here, this daughter was about 19, 20 years old, and she's the only child, having a lot of conflict with the mother. And it was the father who brought them both, heard about this and brought them both to us. So it's a form of a questionnaire that we give. And once the questionnaire is completed, we get the person's brain profile like this in a very pictorial and easy to understand way. Now, looking at the daughter's brain profile, all of you can easily see that her higher quadrant is a L2, the doing brain. Also her L1. So in total, she's left brain dominant. However, her R1 isn't that small. She has it. She prefers not to use it a lot though. And her R2 is fairly decent. So keep this profile in mind. Now we will see the next slide, which is the mothers. Okay. Why am I quiet? You can see for yourself. Can you see the differences between the mother and the daughter's brain profiles? See, right away. Mother is so highly right brain dominant. Remember, the daughter was more left brain dominant. Mother is so highly right brain dominant, she has absolutely no preferences to go towards her left brain, which means she is chaotic, she's playful, the house could be messy. She just goes intuitively for things, no data or analysis, not very realistic, highly imaginative. So a mother like this now, the father told me one thing. When the daughter was small, it was a perfect loving relationship. As the daughter grew older, you know how teenagers start conflicting with parents? The conflict started and just started getting worse. Why was it fine when they were small? A right dominant mother is very huggy, kissy, playful. She'll run around the house with the child. She will never say, clean your room, iron your clothes. She won't do all that. She'll tell stories. She'll get a surprise for the child. She loves doing all that. So the child loved it. But as she got older and she was in higher education, she needed that kind of support and space where things are more organized and that, she can do better at work in college. And unknowingly, this daughter started making up for what the mother wasn't doing. Mother would come home late, so she would cook a meal for her dad. We did not do the father's brain profiling, but we could immediately see that the father is also left brain dominant. So as this girl is getting older, she's more like her father. Okay? So now the father is a peaceful person, but this girl is conflicting with the mother all the time. However, both have an art too. Both are loving. They'll fight, they'll cry, but then they'll hug each other. But the father was finding this very difficult to do. So how much can you tell somebody? But the minute we did this profile and we presented them with this report, both mother and daughter looked at it, read it, and then they actually started laughing. And the mother turns to the daughter and says, "No wonder you behave more like a mother to me." And the daughter looks at the mom and says, "And you're more like a naughty child than a mother." So, immediately they both laughed and they began to understand. And I told them, this report is not meant to be stashed away in a drawer. Please keep it in front of you. Go through it every day. Look out for the qualities in each other and try and understand where it's coming from. They're not doing it. Mother understood that the daughter is not deliberately disobeying and fighting. And, she realized that the daughter's thinking preferences had changed. Where's that sweet little girl of mine? Now she fights with me. No, because she's growing into an adult, her thinking preferences are changing, which is why we don't do this profiling for children below 16. So, but the minute they saw this in a report, they understood that this is a person's nature and how to get along with each other. That made such an impact and the effort they made to get along. So that was one thing very successful. After that, we got a long mail from the mother saying that, things are so much nicer at home. I try to do what my daughter wants of me. She tries to appreciate it when I come and give her some. Okay, by the way, the mother was in a high profile job. She was the head of an HR agency, and she had her secretaries and her team to do all the left brain work for her. She was a strategist, an Imagineer, and, very intuitive. She used to get these ideas, and then she would call the team and say, pull out that data. After they pulled out the data, she would say, make the presentation. So because she was in a high profile job, she had a team that handled her left brain work for her. She didn't have a preference to do it. However, when she came home, who is going to, which team is there handling all this, right? She's a mother and a wife. She had to kind of handle it. So this, was a big understanding for them. I would like to share with you a second case study. Um, this was again of an older girl. Here she is. And she was 28 when we did this brain profiling for her. When she was younger, she was classified as ADHD, and she had a lot of trouble fitting into school. She used to get into trouble with teachers. Mother was her sort of comforting because the mother probably also was a high R2. Okay, so she was, but unfortunately, mother passed away when she was in her late teens. After that, she gave her father a very tough time. She would not stick to anything. Somehow she managed to complete her studies. Look at her brain profile. As I'm talking to you, notice the words I'm using to describe her and look at her brain profile. Okay, so I've been saying that she used to get into trouble, wouldn't listen to anyone, restless, always looking for something to do because our R1 brain lives in a world of imagination. Our L1 is the realist. So her L1 wasn't very big. R1 is so big. R2, very loving, she'll hug people. When her dad used to get too emotional and like annoyed, she'd go and hug him. And then, but she'd continue doing whatever she wanted. Once we did her profile, we realized why she wouldn't even stick to jobs. And the father, actually, the main thing is, she looked at her profile and she smiled and said, I knew it. Okay, because she is intuitive. Our R1 brain is an intelligent brain. Okay, but it was an eye opener for the father. When he saw this, he says, oh my God, I haven't done the test, but I think I may be left brain dominant, which is why I keep picking on my daughter. And that kind of awareness and understanding started to develop. This girl had a peculiar thing. She would keep running away from her home, going to stay with some aunt, with a close friend. She'd just go and stay with them. She never wanted to live by herself. You can see why. If you see the L2, which is here in the color green, that is our doing brain, which follows procedures, has a timetable. So, if she found an aunt who ran a nice home where food was cooked on time, beds were neatly made, she'd just go and live with them until they got fed up of her messy and crazy ways and asked her to go back home. She would never take it wrong, you know that? Because being so strongly right brain dominant, she's very loving and carefree. She would never feel bad about it. So once this profiling was done, because we realized she had ADHD as a child, she's grown into a woman like this. Her strengths can be used. It can be a strength. It's not a failing. So after the father kind of understood that and he started taking interest in his daughter, I'll tell you another thing. When the father relaxed and became more loving, naturally he moved into his R2 quadrant, the red one. That's where the daughter connected with him. If the father was being very strict and trying to explain rules and saying, this is how you have to be, he would lose her. But when he tried to move into the R2 quadrant, be a more loving father, little talk to her sweetly, call her by her pet names, and then tell her, she was more open to listening to him. Finally, this girl found a job in the hotel industry, managing one of their very popular bar cum restaurants, which has a band that plays there. And this girl was soon promoted to manager and whatnot because she was doing very well in that environment. So you see, each quadrant, each part of us has a strength somewhere and has a weakness somewhere. It's just a matter. Now, if this girl had been forced into some bank job or, administrative job, she would have been so bored. She did, she was. And she used to just quit within 2, 3 months and run away. Having found this job in the hospitality industry, she settled down well. And, this profiling just helped the father to understand his daughter better. So these are the case studies I wanted to share with you. And now that you have all seen these slides and understood a little bit, any questions? And Sugandhi, any questions?
Thank you, Madhavi ma'am. Yes, we have few questions which I would like to start. And meanwhile, I request the participants to please post your questions in the chat box where we can take it for discussion. Yes, Madhavi ma'am, our first question would be is, how can whole brain thinking help us navigate conflicts or difficult conversations in relationships?
Yeah. So, like I shared the mother-daughter case with you. That is how that conflict was resolved. When it is a questionnaire, it's a test. So when anyone comes to you, we typically do 3 sessions. In the first session, we just talk to them and understand them. What is your conflict? Why have you come? What are you looking to resolve? We talk to them. Second session is when we give them the link to do the questionnaire. And the third session is explaining the results to them. So once this is done, the conflict just kind of resolves. I won't say it goes away, but it reduces a lot. Now, even if you don't do the test, if you are just aware and you read and study about this, you will find a shift in your thinking. So this does lead to a lot of conflicts have been resolved through this.
Thank you, ma'am. There's also another question. Yes, you would be the right expertise for us to answer on this. Can you explain us a little bit about on the concept of brain dominance and how does it affects our relationship?
Okay. Yeah. We tend to have a dominance towards one side of the brain. Very few of us are entirely balanced. We could be when we are very relaxed and focused, but in moments of stress or in moments of anxiety or when you're in a hurry, you will naturally move towards your dominant quadrant. These quadrants develop nature and nurture. Could be your nature, it could be how you're brought up. Maybe a parent was like that. Okay. And then if you are in a place of study or work where you are happy, it means that environment is matching your dominant quadrant. If you're unhappy in a job or a situation, it means your thinking is not aligned with that. So just studying yourself and seeing what is your dominant quadrant from the qualities I explained, you will begin to say, oh my God, I think I'm L2 dominant. So let me try to relax that. I think my daughter seems to be R1 dominant. Let me try and understand her way. So you see, the dominance comes through nature and nurture.
Rightly said, ma'am. I have another question also, like how can the whole brain thinking help us build the relationship with people of diverse backgrounds or with different personality types? How can we build on, or how can this help us? This approach help us?
It's very interesting. I'll just ask you a question. Think of a country, Germany. People from Germany, what do you think they are? Left or right dominant? If you just
I mean,
generally what we hear about, say, the Germans,
yeah. So I think
left
they're
brain dominant.
left.
Indians, we are mostly right brain. India is a right brain dominant country. We live in crowded places. We are jostling for space. We have colorful festivals, noise, chaos, and we thrive in it. You go to Germany, everything's on time. People speak softly. They look at you, they won't smile. They are left. So now that we know this, okay, if I go for a meeting or I'm visiting that country, I will try to dress in brown clothes, wear proper shoes. Have you seen the foreigners who come to India and love it here?
Yes,
Because though they are, say, from a left brain dominant country, they are by nature right brain dominant. And when they come to India, they love it. They feel at home. Okay. And it can happen the other way. So you'll see countries, you'll see organizations. And, by just observing them and their social and cultural behavior, you can see the people there, which kind of. So once you know that, won't you try to meet them that way?
definitely.
You will try to go to their way of doing things and they will find a nice communication with you.
Mhm. Interesting, ma'am. So I have only one last questions, and then I would like to give the chance for others to type in their questions. My last question would be, ma'am, can you share some strategies for using this whole brain thinking, especially to improve the area of communication and collaboration in teams or in partnerships when we work in teams or partnerships?
Sure. We did a very interesting case study in Dubai. It was a retail chain
Mhm.
and they were not growing and there were new retail chains popping up. This was an old one. So people were going out of loyalty or habit. New retail chains started popping up and these were losing business. So when as a team, the top management team, when we did the profiling for them, we saw the entire team. And there's a way in this program to superimpose. So if you do a profiling of 10 people, you can superimpose and come with one profile which shows the dominance of all the 10. We saw that all the 10 people in the top management were left brain dominant. So that retail chain always had the same colors, things were in the same place, prices were carefully controlled, they always stuck to selling the same brands, they were loyal to that brand. Whereas the new retail chains were coming up with surprises and offers. And when they realized that they all are very happy with each other because they all think the same way, it was an eye opener for them. Think about hiring someone who thinks the opposite. You may not
Right.
like it, but maybe that will get your business going. So that's what they did. It was such an eye opener for them. So, as a team, it's very important that one person who will always be disagreeing with you is actually the important one. Don't get irritated with them. If your team says yes for everything and gets along very well, you'll miss something. So for team, for corporates, this is a good strategy. And adults, the minute they see this, it's awareness.
Definitely. Wonderful, ma'am. I think we are really having a wonderful time. I encourage all the participants to please post your questions in the chat box. And yes, yeah,
Okay,
ma'am,
we'll
there's a
have a
question.
full screen also, Sugandhi, and then people can raise hands and we can ask them to speak.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, ma'am, there's a question posted here in the chat box. Can you explain how the process of this mapping of the brain and how would you map a brain of uh, just, I think the question is not of a non-verbal individual. That's the question, ma'am. I repeat it.
Ah,
Can you explain how the process of this mapping of the brain and how would you map a brain of a non-verbal individual?
okay. So as long as the person is an adult, this brain mapping is done through a questionnaire. There are about 35 questions, which may sound a bit repetitive. That's to weed out inconsistencies. but it's a very simple, straightforward questionnaire. Once the person completes that questionnaire and clicks submit, we get the whole brain mapping. Okay, so now remember, this is something the person is doing voluntarily. And we tell them while taking the test, don't overthink. The first response that comes to you strongly, click on that. Okay, it's a multiple choice. Click on it. Don't overthink it. So once that test is done, that's how we get the mapping done. A non-verbal person, because it's a written test, it comes through. And otherwise, okay, good question, because even a person who doesn't speak, watch their actions. Your actions also tell you what is your brain dominance. Very huggy, touchy person, is coming from a right brain dominance. Someone who's quietly reading a book, doesn't like loud noises, wants their meals at the same time, their left brain dominance. Okay, someone who enjoys music or listening, dances to music. So these are even physical cues you can see, even in the kind of clothes they like to wear. Right brain dominant people love their colors. A left brain, without realizing it, will go for very muted shades, matching, will not like to wear green and blue and yellow, will want matching colors. So, in a non-verbal person, you get the cues from their actions and their likes and dislikes, what they like to do. And the brain mapping is done by him. He is in South Africa. He developed this. He's a
How
neuroscientist.
feasible it would be to incorporate whole brain approach at schools and mainly for neurodiverse students?
Yes, so that was my motivation when I was teaching in school. Our school was inclusive, but all teachers were not having a good time. There were teachers who were getting extremely stressed. That was when once during the summer holidays, we had gone to London to visit my sister-in-law, and that's where I came upon this program and I did it. And when I came back to school, I incorporated it. It was such an understanding for the teachers. See, students are small. Unless they're 16 and older, we don't do it. But just getting the teachers, giving them a presentation on whole brain thinking, making them identify their dominant quadrant, they began to understand why I cannot deal with this child is very right brain, ADHD bordering, or this child is a bit left autistic on the spectrum of being very left brain. Does not like a teacher who will try to hug him or touch her. When the teachers understood this, it was really great. And then the word spread among parents. Many parents started coming to do this to understand their children better. But it was very helpful for the teachers.
Yes, I hope the question is answered. Any more questions? If not, you can even unmute and please ask your questions. And also, please feel free to key in your comments and questions in the chat box.
Can I just say one thing in the meantime, Sugandhi?
Sure, ma'am.
If you want somebody to learn something, don't shout at them. Because, sorry, when you're shouting and raising your voice, that person is going to be scared or stressed. Okay, so when they're dealing with these feelings in their R2 quadrant, nothing is going into the left brain. So when you want to teach someone or tell them something, make sure they're relaxed. Put them in a nice environment. When you shout at a child, nothing will go into the brain. The minute you drop your voice, and I'm not saying you have to look happy, you are annoyed with your child, right? But drop your voice so that it remains calm. You remain calm, child will understand better.
I think that's very important for us to consider, ma'am. And it was a very good reminder from your end. Thank you so much.
And it's not just only for adult to child, it's adult to adult also.
If Philip there, can we have a gallery view, please? So that people feel more comfortable and ask question if they just want to speak, not type.
Yeah, please feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, please, may I have a gallery view?
And remember, there's nothing right or wrong in the brain preferences. It's what works for you.
As we are going to just put the gallery view, I just want to tell you about the right brain or left brain. It was a very good experience for us. We had few of the guests from UK and we took them out on our MG road in Bangalore. And you know the Bangalore traffic. And as we said, as we Indians, we get cheese talk, traffic. But a young girl, around 20, 25 years old, and she said, yeah, the traffic is chaotic, but there is something good in that. You look at that background, she's coming from a very quiet family. And suddenly she said, yeah, it is chaotic, but people are very, very supportive and quiet. There is no road rage.
Yes, true.
There is no road rage. And it was quite a thing. It depends on what you look for. She said, if in UK we'll have this, it would have been totally like a fighting mode and rage because people cannot understand or this follow that. So that was a learning. And the other thing you were talking about things. So even just today evening, I always think, oh, I'm a teacher, so my voice is a little louder. So I don't know how many times in a day I hear from my husband that, can you talk softly? And today he used one word. He says, it irritates me. It is not communication. So as you were telling, I said, Rita, you need to do something. Yeah. I mean, it's not that we're married 40 years, but still,
Yes.
today he said, it irritates me, Rita. Can you just talk softly? So thank you for that. Maybe I may also learn that lesson. And relationship becomes more sweeter.
That's it. That's it, Peter. And you know that now if you share this whole brain thinking with him, he will realize Rita's not doing it on purpose. That's the way. And you understand that maybe he is in that moment in a very R2 feeling kind of a brain.
Yeah.
He wants that
So
environment.
it is just understanding.
Just understanding,
That's all. Nothing big. Yeah.
And I read a very interesting article where they said the West has perfected perfection. And so they are intolerant of a lot of things that, when rules are broken. In India, we have perfected chaos. So we are very adjusting and accommodating towards each other. Yeah.
So there's one more question, ma'am, here posted in the chat box. Suppose a child is nonverbal and also has intellectual disability. How do we analyze their whole brain?
Okay. Just by observation. Watch your child. What does he or she like to do? When do they smile? When do they look happy? When are they having a bad moment? When are they feeling stressed? Observe the situation. It is very situational. If a child is left brain dominant and there's loud music, band baja barat, they'll get very stressed. If a child is right brain dominant, sorry, They get very stressed if they're left alone, or they're made to sit quietly somewhere. They'll be reaching out. So just observe the child and take down a few notes. When does the child look happy, claps his or her hands, smiles? When do they cry or look stressed? And then you will begin to understand that this child seems to be right brain dominant or left brain dominant. Think up some fun activities and things to do which align with that. Okay, so left brain dominant children love quiet time, coloring, reading books, listening to music. Right brain dominant child would love you to be involved, tell a story, again, sing songs, be in a group activity. So try and balance. If a child is very right brain dominant, teach them to have some quiet moments. If a child is too quiet and likes to be alone all the time, slowly introduce a playmate, somebody where they interact with others. Okay, so try and balance their preferences just by observation.
Ma'am, there's another question here. I think a parent expresses saying that I guess there is a very less awareness on this topic. That's one reason for the differences between people. But do you see how the awareness can be taken to higher level? I think government should take initiative at larger scale. As you're the expert in this area, do you see any such things happening across the country?
I think a lot of people are into this. There's a gentleman in Delhi who has a big institute where he does this whole brain profiling mainly for career counseling for students to send them abroad for. There is an awareness of whole brain thinking. This is a start. Thanks to Rita ma'am, Sugandhi. They've met me, they found me, and they started these webinars to spread awareness. And they plan to have this once a month at least, so that more and more people can come to know about this. You are absolutely right. Something like this creates so much awareness among people, and this should be spread. I really wish that we could take it up in more schools. If any of you are interested, counselors, teachers, I can tell you where you can do the program or how you can yourself do a test. It's about 5,000 rupees because it comes from South Africa. It's patented there. But that 5,000 rupees would be money well spent. I cannot give the test. I have to get it from the professor and his team. They will send me the links and we have to pay them. And then this is done. Once you do the test for yourself, you will spread it. You will tell your family, your colleagues at work, your friends, and do talk about it, spread it around. You're right, we need more awareness, but this is something that goes a long way.
Yeah. I agree completely, ma'am. I think the awareness begins from us. And I think such sessions and seminars really help us to broaden our thinking on this topic. And I'm sure we can take it deeper more. Thank you, sir, for that question posted. And we have here another parent telling us that, will you be sharing left dominant and right dominant activities to teach for under spectrum kids?
Sure, we can. I can share some right now. Later, maybe if we do another webinar like Rita ma'am would like to do, we can go deeper into
we
this.
can add up. So please feel free, those who are participating, give us the topic. We will have a month so we can incorporate it. Thank you for this very practical question.
Yes. And if you know the qualities of each quadrant, you will understand. An L1 person, L1, loves to read for data and for facts. They're realists. They don't do time pass. So they love to read autobiographies, journals. That's their preferred choice of reading. Or an L2 person loves to do activities, embroidery, knitting, coloring. Okay, things like that, putting the boxes, shapes together. And our one person loves to tell imaginary stories, love surprises, you know, um, like they would love to go out. And our two dominant activities are music, singing, clapping, physical like playing, being with friends. These are the activities typically that an R2 dominant likes. Children are naturally are right brain dominant. Schools, parents, we teach them to become left brain dominant by timetables and teaching them skills and getting them to follow routines. So you will see that they are right brain dominant. As they get older, they move into their left. Once they're adults, they will settle into the quadrant that they like. Okay, so I would not say if a child is left brain dominant, encourage them to do only those activities. Okay, so try and put them like this boy who was very introvert and would sit hours by himself with the guitar. We told the parents, send him for music classes to play drums. Once he learned drums, it's so boring to just keep playing by your own self. So in the music school, they asked him, join the band. You're the drummer. And there were more children there. Now he had to play with them. Slowly they became his friends. And we did the opposite for a child who was always very boisterous and she used to love running around with friends, wouldn't stay at home. Put her in for piano classes. So in the piano room, she had to sit by herself, focus on the piano, and at home, her piano practice kind of started. And piano is it's based both hands, right? So your right and left hands are moving. And it kind of creates a good, this thing of neurons. So any instrument where you use both hands, knitting, anything that helps improve the connection between the two quadrants. So this child with the piano started calming down. This boy with the drum started becoming friendly. So if you put them in such activities, which are a little different, not forcefully, but very tactfully and diplomatically, you'll see that you can.
Any more questions, participants? Have anybody raise their hand?
Madhvi ma'am, as you talked about the activity and some parents have asked, just a question, like we have learned about multiple intelligence. So is there anything we can converge these two theories, the whole brain and multiple intelligence? Can you shed some light on that?
Yes. All the four quadrants of our brain have intelligence embedded in them. That is the multiple intelligence. People with R1 dominant are very intelligent in those qualities. Okay, so they will do it beautifully. And somebody who's not will be struggling. If you put someone in a board meeting and say, strategize, plan, think ahead, somebody who's left brain dominant will be like blank. How do I? Because they're realists. They'll work with numbers. But someone who's R1 will come out with such ideas which may seem wild or, not realistic, but you never know. It works and they are very intelligent in that aspect. So those are their strengths. Somebody who is L2, lower left dominant, loves to make rules and procedures. They will do it beautifully for your company. An R1 person gets very frustrated with that activity. So here is their intelligence. So these are the multiple intelligence that we have according to our preference. And sometimes what people do, if someone is very excited about their R1 idea, they don't like to be in R2, but they will in L2, but they will go there just to support their idea. If they're excited about something, they will go into their quadrant, which they don't normally like to go. But now if it is supporting this, they will go there and do it. So,
Right.
Intelligence is in all the quadrants.
Thank you.
Agreed, ma'am. There's one
Sugandhi,
question now come up, ma'am. How can parents of adolescents use this concept to balance guidance and independence?
Yes. So guidance, again, the words itself, look at the guidance words. Guidance comes from a very left brain because it's a self preservation, safekeeping, rules and procedures. Independence is letting go. Okay. So you are absolutely right. These are two very opposing things. And I would always say, give the independence to the child while giving guidance around the environment. See that the child is in a good environment, school, at home, with friends. And then once you are comfortable that that environment is good, give them the independence, okay, within that structure. See, child is a child. You cannot give a full freedom, believe me. Much as teenagers fight, they also like their limits. It's a proven thing that teenagers do well where they know where they stand with parents. Please pick your battles. Okay? If you're so particular that a child should not get into bad habits, but then the child wants a little tattoo somewhere, given. It doesn't matter. In the long run, the bigger values are more important. So pick your battles if you say no to everything. So your guidance and independence, please balance it. If you start with a no, tell yourself, oh my God, I'm a left brain dominant person. Change it. Ask questions. Why do you want to do this? What makes you ask that? Move into your right brain. The child will respond beautifully to you. So in that, it's okay for me to give advice. Every parent, I've been through that. It's very difficult, balance the tightrope of guidance and independence. But please focus even on yourself. Where are you reluctant to give independence? Are you over guiding? See that the child's environment is safe and then give them independence. Don't we take little children to these play areas? Once we take them to a safe play area, we leave them bouncing, jumping, playing in the ball pit, right? So that's the way it works. You see that the environment is the way you want it to be, and within that, give independence to your child. As they grow older, please talk to them. Ask them, why do you want this? You want to go for a movie with your friends. Where are you going? Your safety is important to me. Please call me if you want me to pick you up. See, as a parent, if you're scared about safety, it's because you are a left brain dominant person. You're not ready to let go. So then blend it. Right. You want to go for a movie with friends on the condition, please, can I come and pick you up? So I'm happy that you're safe and you've had a good time. So you know that communication goes a long way.
Well said, ma'am.
I had a question, Sugandhi.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are some kids who show talent in a particular area, but when they are sent for structured training for that particular thing, they kind of shut off or they seem to lose interest. So how would you explain that, and how do we deal with a situation like that?
It could just be the person who's tutoring or teaching them. Probably a rapport hasn't built. It happens even in schools. Some children love some teachers. The very same teachers are not popular with some other kids. Okay, so that could be one reason if a child loves a particular activity, but when they're enrolled in it, maybe the person who's teaching them or the environment is taking the fun out of it and making it very, that could be a reason if a child would then not enjoy it anymore. And then some children probably could be introverts. They prefer to pick up things on their own. An L1 dominant child or a person prefers getting their own information. They don't like to get it from people. They even in adults, they will read they will find out, they will make notes, and they will do their own thing. Okay, so it's best if a child has lost interest in something that he or she is enjoying, to talk to them. Maybe there could be other factors.
Right. Yeah, so in another 5 minutes, we'll be ending this session, and the interaction is really interesting. Feels like we'll have more questions for you, ma'am. I think the highlight of today's session, or the key takeaways, which I just noted down as you were sharing, would be is that yes, all of us should start recognizing and understanding our own thinking style and that of others too. And we need to start adjusting the communication and interaction style to match the needs and the preferences of others. And I think the other area would be to focus on the strengths and talents of each individual, and to create basically a collaborative and a supportive environment. And I think the other point that just came to my mind is to just use relational thinking to understand and appreciate the perspectives and emotions of others. So this was,
well said.
I could just, conclude it in what we were all trying to discuss and share in today's session. On that note, we have no more questions. So I would like to hand over to Rita ma'am to conclude this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sugandhi and Madhvi. I think it was a wonderful session.
Thank
And
you.
before I conclude, is there any participant wants to say just a word to appreciate? Madhvi has prepared and done. Anybody wants to say anything, feel free.
Please feel free.
And then I will conclude it. We just have a few minutes. Anybody can just unmute and speak.
And suggestions?
Any suggestions for the next time? Anything you want to learn so that we can plan for next session for December?
Yeah. You know, the reason we have created this as a very informal environment, because that's where we want you to feel comfortable.
Yes.
Feel comfortable. Never mind if you're sitting in a t-shirt, sipping tea. That's the best way. Maybe you're so relaxed, you will learn more. So don't hesitate. Please talk to us, ask questions. This is a very informal session, and no marks are going to be given. Don't worry. No grades. Just feel free. Okay.
So
I mean,
anyway,
I'm sitting here before you.
Yeah, that's
Take out of me whatever you want.
Thank you so much, ma'am,
I think
for this
then there
session.
are, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the
Yes,
session.
hi.
I really enjoyed the left and right to handle kids. I mean, shouting at them it's not going to work out, definitely. So I was truly enjoying it. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you
so
much.
glad.
Yeah.
I'll just share a little joke with you.
Yeah, please.
One person said, "Oh my God, at the end of this session, I realized there's nothing left in my right brain and there's nothing right with my left brain."
Good one. Probably we can use it sometime somewhere. Rightly said.
So
Yes.
yeah, we just want this to be a very fun, interactive. You know, maybe in the next session, Rita ma'am, we can ask the participants to share their experiences.
Yes, we will do
You know,
that.
you've all faced situations unconsciously, you would have dealt with it very well.
Yeah.
And, without knowing about all this, or had a conflict or resolved it. You can share it. It will be a very nice, because when we listen to people, other
different
people's
people can,
experiences,
yeah.
we learn so much.
Okay, so we have just, and thank you one more time. And the one word or a little phrase I picked up as you were sharing, Madhvi, relationships, and we have to choose our own battles, which one we want to fight.
Yes. Yes.
We have to prioritize this. And if you look around, there is so much of chaos. It can be easily brought into peaceful environment if we just understand each other. And sometimes the things which brings conflicts are not eternal. To me, the only thing which legacy or eternity will reveal is our relationship, our sweet memory. So let's put our efforts together, find out first who I am. The first thing is I should know who I am. That will help me to, I think, understand other people. And once I think we understand each other, there is nothing can stop us having a fun, happy relationship, and that's our objective. Thank you so much.
So true.
All the people who have participated. I hope this will trickle down with just few handful of us and our homes, our workplaces. Maybe people around us feel that we are people who understand. Thank you
Yes.
so much one more time.